The night sky above Europe had become a battlefield. For years, Allied bombers crossed the continent, striking factories, railways, oil refineries, and military targets deep inside Germany. Entire cities trembled beneath the sound of air raid sirens. Day after day, the war moved closer to the German homeland. By 1943, Adolf Hitler faced a reality he had never imagined. The Third Reich was losing control of the skies. German cities burned. Factories struggled to maintain production. Civilians spent countless nights hiding in shelters. As defeat slowly emerged on the horizon, Nazi leaders desperately searched for a weapon capable of changing the course of history. Somewhere inside a network of secret laboratories and underground facilities, engineers were working on a project unlike anything the world had ever seen. It was not an aircraft. It was not a tank. It was not a battleship. It was a machine that seemed to belong to the future. Its name was V-2. The story began far from the battlefields. During the 1920s and early 1930s, a young German engineer named Wernher von Braun became obsessed with one idea: reaching space. While most scientists focused on airplanes and conventional technology, von Braun dreamed of rockets powerful enough to escape Earth's atmosphere. He devoured science fiction novels and spent countless hours studying mathematics, physics, and propulsion systems. To him, rockets were not weapons. They were vehicles that could one day carry humanity to the moon and beyond. But dreams require funding, and in a Germany preparing for war, military officials quickly recognized another potential use for rocket technology. As the Nazi regime expanded its military ambitions, secret research programs received enormous support. Engineers gathered at a remote location along Germany's Baltic coast, known as Peenemünde. Hidden from public view, it became one of the most advanced research centers in the world. There, scientists and technicians worked around the clock, developing weapons unlike anything previously imagined. Massive test stands rose above the landscape. Experimental engines thundered across the coastline. Every success brought Germany closer to a technological breakthrough that many believed could alter the future of warfare. The weapon they pursued was revolutionary. Unlike conventional artillery, which could strike targets only a limited distance away, the V-2 would travel hundreds of kilometers. Unlike aircraft, it required no pilot. Unlike bombs dropped from the sky, it could not be intercepted once launched. It would rise high above the atmosphere, reach the edge of space, and then plunge back toward Earth faster than the speed of sound. No warning, no defense, no escape. Development proved extraordinarily difficult. Early prototypes exploded during testing, engines failed, guidance systems malfunctioned. Entire teams spent months solving problems that had never existed before because nobody had ever attempted anything on this scale. Engineers worked under immense pressure. Military leaders demanded results. Resources flowed into the project despite Germany's increasingly desperate wartime situation. Gradually, failure gave way to progress. Test flights became more successful. Distances increased. Reliability improved. For the first time in history, humanity had created a ballistic missile. Then came a moment that changed everything. On October 3, 1942, a prototype rocket successfully completed a full flight trajectory. It climbed higher and farther than any human-made object before it. Observers watched in awe as the rocket disappeared into the sky. One engineer reportedly remarked that humanity had reached space for the first time. Though primitive compared to modern standards, the achievement marked the birth of the space age. Yet instead of carrying scientific instruments, this new technology would carry destruction. As Allied bombing intensified across Germany, Nazi leaders viewed the V-2 as a miracle weapon. Hitler became increasingly fascinated by advanced technologies capable of restoring Germany's fortunes. The V-2 fit perfectly into this vision. It promised retaliation against Allied cities. It promised fear. It promised revenge. Most importantly, it promised a weapon against which there was no defense. Production expanded rapidly, but the reality behind the program was dark. Deep inside underground facilities, thousands of forced laborers worked under horrific conditions assembling rockets. The factories became symbols of the brutal human cost hidden behind technological achievement. Exhaustion, disease, and mistreatment claimed countless lives. While engineers pursued scientific breakthroughs, others paid the price in suffering. The V-2 would become one of history's most powerful examples of how extraordinary innovation can exist alongside extraordinary tragedy. In September 1944, the weapon entered combat. Without warning, a V-2 rocket launched from occupied territory and raced toward London. Unlike traditional air raids, there was no approaching aircraft, no sirens, no opportunity to seek shelter. The rocket traveled faster than sound itself. By the time people heard anything, the explosion had already occurred. Buildings collapsed, streets filled with debris. Civilians stared in confusion, struggling to understand what had happened. More rockets followed. Day after day, V-2 missiles struck cities across England, Belgium, and other Allied territories. Fear spread quickly. Newspapers reported mysterious explosions. Military officials investigated desperately. Yet there was little they could do. Conventional defenses proved useless. Fighter aircraft could not intercept the rockets. Anti-aircraft guns could not reach them. The V-2 represented an entirely new form of warfare. For those living beneath its shadow, the psychological effect proved immense. People knew the attacks could happen at any moment. There would be no warning, no chance to react. Entire neighborhoods lived with constant uncertainty. Although the weapon ultimately failed to achieve its strategic objectives, it introduced a terrifying concept that would shape military thinking for generations. Then came July 1969. Millions of people watched televisions around the world. A spacecraft descended toward the lunar surface. When Neil Armstrong stepped onto the moon, humanity achieved something once considered impossible. Yet hidden within that triumph was an extraordinary historical irony. The path from Peenemünde to the moon stretched across decades of conflict, politics, innovation, and sacrifice. The first rocket to touch space had been built as a weapon. The technology created to destroy cities had ultimately helped carry humans beyond Earth. Today, the launch pads of Peenemünde are silent. The engineers who once gathered there are gone. The war they helped shape belongs to history. The cities that trembled beneath V-2 attacks have long since been rebuilt, yet the questions raised by the rocket remain as relevant as ever. Can a technology be separated from the purpose for which it was created? Can something born from destruction become a force for progress? The story of the V-2 offers no simple answers. For some, it remains a symbol of suffering. Thousands of civilians died beneath its explosions. Thousands more died producing it in underground factories. Entire communities were scarred by its existence. The rocket represented the terrifying potential of science placed in the service of war. For others, it represents one of the most important technological breakthroughs in human history. Without the lessons learned from the V-2 program, the development of modern rocketry would almost certainly have been delayed. Satellites, planetary probes, space stations, and lunar missions all stand upon foundations that began with those early experiments. Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in between. The V-2 was neither purely a weapon nor purely a scientific achievement. It was both. A reminder that technology itself is neutral. The decisions surrounding it determine whether it becomes a tool for destruction or discovery. As humanity looks toward Mars, plans new lunar bases, and dreams of journeys deeper into the solar system, the legacy of the V-2 continues to echo through every launch countdown. Modern rockets are vastly more advanced, yet they all share the same fundamental purpose: overcoming gravity and reaching beyond the horizon. When powerful engines ignite on a launch pad today, they carry scientists, satellites, explorers, and dreams. But hidden within that thunder is a connection to a distant coastline on the Baltic Sea, where engineers once watched an experimental rocket disappear into the sky. They could not have imagined what would follow. They could not have foreseen astronauts walking on the moon. They could not have envisioned rovers exploring Mars. They could not have known that their work would help transform humanity into a spacefaring species. The V-2 never won the war. It never saved the Third Reich. It never delivered the victory its creators promised. But it accomplished something far stranger. It became the first step on humanity's journey to the stars. And that may be the greatest irony in the entire history of World War II.